So I'd like to open the School Planning Committee meeting of October 28th, 2020. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with the emergency orders announced by Governor Charlie Baker to protect health during the COVID-19 outbreak. This meeting is being conducted remotely via Zoom, and members of the public can attend the meeting remotely. The meeting is also being live streamed, I believe, and recorded by ECAT, and the recording will be available for the public to review through ECAT as soon as they get it up and post it. I'm going to do a quick roll call to confirm members who are present here this evening, and then we can immediately move to the agenda. Dr. Cabral.
Cabral here.
Ken Carlson. I don't see Ken yet. Dottie Fulgenetti.
Present.
Dave Field.
Present.
I know that Patrick Helen was not able to attend tonight. Caroline O'Neill.
I'm here.
Connor Reed.
Present.
Billy Sobrai.
Present.
Jamie Stebbins.
Present.
Dave Twombly.
Present.
Ann Weintraub.
Present.
Jackie Weissman.
Present.
And Jane Martin. I'm also present. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from September 23rd of 2020. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
O'Neill, so moved.
Fulgenetti, second.
Cabral.
Cabral, yes.
Sorry. Carlson.
Carlson, yes.
Fulgenetti.
Fulgenetti, yes.
Helen. Oh, sorry, Patrick's not here. O'Neill.
O'Neill, yes.
Reed.
Reed, yes.
Sobrai.
Abstain.
Stebbins.
Abstain.
Weintraub.
Weintraub, yes.
Wiseman.
Wiseman, yes.
Martin. I'm going to abstain because I was not at that meeting. Okay, so with that, hi Walter, how are you tonight? I haven't seen you in over a month now, but I'm turning things over to you and you can walk us through the rest of the agenda.
Awesome. Doing great. 1 second. I'm just trying to make it so I can see everyone and share my screen. Can you guys see the presentation up?
Yes.
All right. All right. So we did the minutes. Today we're going to run through some highlights from the 90% design and what's been going on in the last month or so. Estimate reconciliation overview, the value management process, live exercise that we've ran through at DD and at 60%. And then we'll be looking for a authorization to submit the 90% CD package to the MSBA next week. We'll run through the project schedule update, brief everyone on the RFQ process and where that stands, a quick schedule summary update and some design phase milestones, and then a quick budget update. And then we'll look to schedule the next meeting. So we did the minutes already, the 90% design. So I think everyone has seen this Excel sheet snippet that we've run through. We held the reconciliation meeting Monday last week, and good news, well, our PFA budget, $74,886,581. Our estimate of record came in at $73,120,525, about $1.76 million under the PFA budget. Our check estimate came in at $72,698,000, about $2.18 million under the PFA budget. Just to note, this does not include any of the parking lot upgrades. What it does include is the connection to the middle school as well as the connection over to Columbus Ave. So you'll see that in a quick graphic right here. The purple is what is included in the base bid, nothing else. So with that, is there any questions regarding the estimate reconciliation before we jump into the value management scoping exercise with you guys?
I have a question, Walter.
Absolutely, yep.
Just for the on the last sketch, the blue piece that's not included in the base bid. Do we have an estimate for that?
Absolutely. We're going to run through all of those. And I was going to run through the numbers first and then give you guys graphics. We have 3 options for
Okay.
the committee to consider. Yep.
Thank you.
Walter, and just my only question, and I'm assuming you'll get it to it as we run through options and look at things, is during the last this last bulk of the project, there wasn't anything that came up that was new or unanticipated or that hadn't been previously discussed. Is that correct?
Nothing that hadn't been previously discussed.
Okay.
What we've done is we had a consideration for enhancing the septic fields prior. At this point in time, our design is a little more developed on that, and a little more information has been provided. And we've come up with an alternative that is within that scoping exercise that we do feel the committee should highly consider including in the project at this point in time. It's not to say that in a month or so, it's not going to be flushed out that it's not needed. But at this point in time, with where the budget is, I know PMA and Perkins both feel that it would be in the best interest of the project to include the number that's out there. And we'll get to that in the Excel sheet.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Any other questions on the estimates? All right, I am going to jump over to the Excel sheet. So what we've done here is pre-populated what the options are that PMA feel would be in the best interest of the committee based on our knowledge of what we feel you guys have relayed to us and what we've done. So I'll go back and forth on the parking lot so everyone can see. But we have 3 options for the parking lot. That would be phase 1, which is alternate 1. So you'll see that right here. That is that little blue piece, and we're accounting for that with a $30,000 estimate. Phase 2A, which we're calculating, or which the estimates had at about $163,000. And then phase 2B, and I'm sorry, I don't have these labeled correctly. I will update this before it goes back out. We had some nomenclature issue. But that would include the entire scope of revamping that parking lot, inclusive of this area right here, which we know has been discussed, the flagpole and the walking, to include at that point in time. If we jump back to the Excel sheet, we also have the septic field design alternative. What this is adding 10,800 square feet of leaching field perk-rite. And that's carried at a value of about $233,000. And then the last item for consideration, and we have a couple slides, and I'll let Dawn and Dan kind of speak to it. But this is kind of a progression of the proposal or the working with the students and the history that and other art and graphic displays and visual displays that have been proposed and discussed in the meetings with those students and the ideas they've come up with, and basically a budget placeholder for what Perkins feels could be designed with their ideas within the budget. What I'll say is we've pre-populated that with having the 4 bottom items. It wouldn't be viable to do number 1 because you'd be replacing it with 2A for the parking. With those 4 items, inclusive of the estimates, if those are all accepted, the project would still be $892,000 under the project funding agreement.
Walter, can we talk just for a second about the septic field design alternative?
Absolutely.
There's
Yep.
probably some sort of confusion on that one. So the septic field, basically what it comes down to is the DEP records have a discrepancy over what's actually out there versus what is in their system as being out there. And then the other part of it is the system that's out there is actually smaller than the DEP believes, but it performs exceptionally better. So right now what we are doing is working to perform some ground testing to determine the permeability. And our hope is that we can demonstrate to the DEP that the system that's out there is sufficient to accommodate all of the existing buildings and the new building. That placeholder there for the budget is just in the event that we're unable to demonstrate that, or the DEP holds firm and says you need to construct that additional capacity. So there is testing being scheduled imminent in the next week, and hopefully we'll have an answer on that very, very soon. But right now we're just being cautious and carrying a placeholder for the cost in the event that it is needed.
But the answer will be available prior to the bidding of the project.
Walter, can I ask a question? This is David Twombly.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
the, what you're proposing here, that's just the septic field. That has nothing to do with the wastewater treatment plant itself, or? is that
Those
all-
are, those costs are already carried in the budget.
Okay, all right, cool. Perfect.
That's
Thanks.
already in the budget. I'm also wondering, since we still are under budget, is there any appetite to potentially saying, like, maybe doing all ceramic tile on all the bathroom walls, like kind of upgrading the durability of the building here and there? I mean, I don't think we would spend a lot of money doing it, but since we are still trending lower, should we consider looking at some of those things that we took out, that we don't have for value purposes, but that could be put back for durability and
So-
longevity?
So Dan, PMA took a look at going backwards, and we really couldn't, if that's one you just came up with, that's impressive, because we couldn't find anything that this committee has had to value manage out of the project.
It is
You
one.
guys, yeah, you guys have done a great job. So almost everything that was ever designed into the building is in the building.
Mhm. Yeah, we were
couldn't
scratching our
find
heads
it.
too, but that was one where I was like, I'm pretty sure that I don't have tile on all the walls.
Right,
You
and
have
just
just
so
the wet
everyone knows, in the middle of this reconciliation, I was able to put in full height at all the classrooms between the lower casework and the upper casework, recognizing there's 2 sinks in every classroom now, and these are young students. They're going to be washing their hands a lot. They're going to be doing art and projects. So through Dan and the cost estimators, I already did it in the classrooms between the casework lowers and uppers. So in conversations Dan and I were having, the tile was something, and that's only in the single user where it's drywall. In the gang toilets, we have CMU, which is already a durable wall surface with epoxy paint. We have ceramic tile floors already in those gang rooms, but this is like all the single users, which would include like the kindergarten and pre-K classrooms and special ed, where they have the individual within the classroom. So that might be a good thing to put in.
Walter, sorry if this is repetitive, but when we met a couple of weeks ago, we talked about like COVID upgrades, and excuse my language, but one of the things we talked about was the big ass fans. So is that included in this bid, or is that, where's that stand?
The fans are not, because the fans work against our mechanical system, the displacement ventilation system. The fans are not workable with that. But the separation of the nurses, that's in. All the UV lights for all the units is in. So most everything we talked about is that could be done. We did. All your hand sanitizer stations are in. But the only we couldn't do the fans because of the mechanical system would not.
Yeah.
That doesn't work with what we designed.
Great, thanks a lot. That's a great answer. Thanks.
Yeah, we really scrubbed the estimates to see if there was anything else that
We could put in.
we could, I mean, even that number that Dan's talking about in the single user bathrooms, I don't even think it's gonna,
$50,000. It's not
I
going to
don't
be.
even, it's not gonna push the
It's
needle.
not going to be a
anywhere.
lot of money, no.
Yeah.
But it's something we should do. If we have an appetite, let's do it. It'll be a longer. You'll get better durability out of the building.
Less repair, yeah.
So my one question is, and this isn't really a question, but it does seem like as this process has unfolded that there are a lot of really good details. You just talked about the double sinks that have gotten incorporated into the design of the building, that at some point, and I don't think it's this evening, but at some point, I think I know that a lot of the users are aware of this, and I'm certain that probably a lot of people in the district are aware of these kinds of changes, but I'm not sure. And Leisha, I'd love your feedback on this. If at some point we need to kind of just do some kind of presentation on what we're now talking about in terms of, again, not every single detail, but another look and overview of this building.
Do you mean, I'm assuming, Jane, you mean to present what's going in the building, not for input?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And
Good.
again, that's just put a placeholder. It's not
Yeah.
it's not at all about input. That we're done
Okay.
with the input part.
Yes.
But what I'm looking at is that, for example, for me, not having attended every single one of the user group meetings, and nor, I just didn't have the availability to do that. It sounds like there were a lot of really important decisions that got made along the way as related to the design of the building. And at some point, I think it might be nice to just put a placeholder. Let's not talk about it tonight. I don't want to take up anybody's time to think about how we share that information out. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just for clarity, there's always been 2 sinks. That was not something that was added from a cost standpoint. That's an MSBA requirement now. So just so everyone knows, at the elementary level, they require 2 sinks. So that's forever been in the project. And I was just clarifying that the casework that they go in, there's upper cabinets for storage, and there's lower cabinets where it's not accessible under the sink. That there's quite a bit of wall space that we otherwise just had a 4-inch counter backsplash. So I just added a full height for durability purposes.
Okay.
So only the tile was added recently. Everything else has been in there.
Got it. Thank
So
you.
just to
Thanks.
clarify, I didn't want
No,
anyone to
thank
think
you.
that got
No,
added.
you're right, because I misheard. So thank
Nope,
you.
that's,
Jane, I think
yep,
it's
absolutely.
important. So I think I went to all the user groups, maybe missed 1 or 2. And I think, how it's presented is really important. I wouldn't say that there were a lot of changes. There were things that we never really discussed with the public that were part of the design that were fine-tuned with users. For example, there were practice rooms in the music suite, if you will. The general public would have never known that because they didn't really look at drawings to that level. And then the music teacher said, well, we don't really do practice, so we can use those as breakout rooms. And so I think they moved a couple of walls. So I think it's more about, let's give you the more fine tuning of the design as opposed to changing things, because I don't want people to think there's been any kind of a bait and switch or something they voted on has changed. It really has not at all. It's more about, design, colors, colors were chosen. Those weren't in the original design, or if they were sort of mock-ups, just as placeholders. So it wasn't a change so much as final decisions made by the teachers and people who use those spaces. So I think like an update to just keep people excited about the project, show
Yes.
them. It's, most people can relate better when they see visuals, when they start to see colors and things like that. And I think that is, a very good idea and a more accurate way to approach it.
As always, you've clarified with a much better description of what I had inside my head. That's exactly what I intended. So thank you.
I knew that's what you meant. I get you, Jane. I get you.
And I'm totally on board. I'm wondering if you can give us a sense of when you might want to see this, just so I can put it on my radar, because it's going to fall on me to do. And just with our 100% deadline coming up, I just want to balance everything. So it doesn't have to be this moment that we decide. Just if we could decide sooner than later, then I'll plan for it.
I'll maybe talk to Dr. Cabral offline, and we can talk about what we're really thinking about doing and how we want to do it in a schedule, and then we'll follow up. Okay.
Yep. And then just share with me, and I will present exactly how you'd like me to as far as information output. Great.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Dawn, I don't want to speak for Jane, and certainly jump in, Jane, if I'm off base, but I think it's a very worthy thing to do. But I will say that there's a lot going on in the district right now that we've got our eyes and hands all over. And we're hoping to make it through the holidays intact. And so I would suggest probably after the holidays at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't think she meant imminently,
Yep.
but I think a lot of people are very preoccupied as well. And we just want to make sure people, we have their attention and that they are re-engaged. And I think right now people are in survival mode, quite literally. So.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually thinking after the holidays, probably, timed kind of around when the project is going out to bid, because we've kind of had a very kind of low key, we haven't been in the public eye at all. We've just been working. And I think it might be time to, because this is an exciting part of the project. So it might be time to think about what's next. But I don't think we need to spend any more time talking about it tonight.
Perfect. Well, it's on my radar, and whenever you decide, we'll be prepared to present.
Thank you.
So the last piece, so the three items that I think we've kind of talked about, the traffic and the septic, and then the last piece is the Blanche Ames graphics and interactive display. Don, I'll jump back to the presentation so you can kind of talk to the slides that you sent over.
Sure. So we just want to give a quick update. We had a meeting, was it 2 weeks ago now, Leisha? I'm sure everyone's in the same time warp I am, but it was recently. And so just want to give everyone a quick update. It was really a follow-up when the student group that we met with over the summer did their presentation. And I don't expect that you read anything on this, by the way. I know it's a ton of words on like a tiny little graphic. The point I'm trying to make here is that the upper right with the 9 green squares was what the students previously presented to us and ultimately you guys as a presentation in response to the design. What came out of that was this idea of a timeline that would be presented in the building up the ramp and toward the makerspace in the media center as a sort of a documentation or a interactive piece about Blanche Ames and her, the highlights of her life, the patents that she, from her inventions, all of the highlights of her very admirable life and times in Easton. And so what you're seeing are the just our graphics team. It was an introduction because I asked the students at the time, if anyone saw the video, I said, would you be interested in participating? We have a graphics group at Perkins Eastman that does, environmental graphics and exciting things in a lot of our buildings. Would they be interested in participating? And they said yes, which was very exciting for us. So what our graphics team did was an intro with the group and went through sort of on the lower left is just some of the highlights of her life and her timeline. And then what they did on the right is they sort of put them into buckets. And those buckets were a huge piece of the conversation. There were sort of pieces of science and pieces of engineering and art and humanity, basically culminating in everything that she did was really to help others. And so sort of celebrating that. So what we talked about, because some of these students, probably half the population, may not be readers yet. So we talked about iconic graphics and or colors that could then correspond with potentially the wing colors that we have as far as wayfinding in the building. Walter, if you would move forward. So again, I don't expect you to read the words. Some of that was just conversation. And then here we looked at a ton of precedents as far as how we wanted this timeline to look, feel, be interactive, for the students to get excited about. Are they these little circles that they could flip up and there's a photo inside, or something exciting about Blanche Ames and her life and all the exciting things that would make this place special because of her. So, and then on the lower right, you can see some of the like wayfinding that the lines the science line, for example, may travel to and then have a circle that's affiliated with that. So there was lots of discussion about how to create this timeline. 0 decisions were made. So this was really a discussion to introduce our graphics team to the student team. And then the next steps are really for them to help us provide feedback based on those exciting pieces of her timeline. And then our team will do a proposal based on feedback that we got from the students as far as interactivity. Do the circles, will they slide up or will they flip up? What material are they? That sort of thing. And then we're hopeful that that group can bring a proposal to you guys for approval as far as a design. So The meeting we had was really just more of a discussion and an introduction. And then based on what we get, we also were hopeful to get contacts to some of the historians and people that the students knew as far as the history of Easton and folks, parents and other adults that kind of had these connections. We're hopeful to get our graphics team in touch with them so some of these things can be represented appropriately. So that's really what it was. It was about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Leisha was there. It was a really exciting presentation, and the students, I'm so thankful for their time. They all volunteered, some of them out of their dorm rooms in college. So everyone was just volunteering their time and so excited about the opportunity to be involved. So we're very thankful for that.
I was on the call too, and some of the, I don't know if these two slides really do the whole call or all the ideas justice. There's a lot here, and my graphics team, based on my my project expenditure sheet this last month, are spending a lot of time on this. They are very invested in it, and they are very excited, and they are researching like wild on it. And I think that I had the idea when they were presenting this that we should really think about maybe branching this into the building deeper, and not just the ramp, but actually letting some of these tendrils go into the wings a little bit. There's a lot of opportunity here. And I think if my graphics team is cut loose, they're gonna create something really great.
Right, and we're also engaging them. So the 250 was kind of a placeholder that Walter spoke about earlier, but engaging them in other potential graphics locations like the iconic wall, hopefully that as a wayfinding wall as you enter into each wing so that students can identify with color as well as theme. We've talked about and presented that prior. So there are other things under that umbrella of 250 as a placeholder that we're hopeful we might be able to include, as well as some of the Blanche patents and inventions within the makerspace, and having some opportunity to do some exciting things there as well, and branching them into the wings as Dan proposed. So there's a handful of things that we're sort of, wrapping our hands around now that we know that we'll have the potentially have the money to do so if you guys are on board with that. Lots of excitement around this.
If I could add something, I would just say, I was an observer because the whole point here is for these students to feel a sense of ownership of part of this big project, and just having them really think about the fact that this is coming to life, and that someday they may walk through this building and see things that they actually designed, and they were so excited about that. So the design is clearly the purpose of this whole thing. And but I do want to add that, the teacher in me, of course, couldn't miss on the teachable moment of what this experience is doing for these kids. And so this real life experience that they're having that is just so rare and unique. And so I did ask if the meeting itself could be recorded, so that if any of you want to see it at your convenience and just kind of watch their thinking process, you can see the light bulbs going off, and you can see the excitement building in them, in the young ladies. It happens to be all young ladies, but they were just the synergy between the young ladies and the design team. It may be something that, obviously they're going to present the final to you, but if you are interested in that sort of idea mining and the educational aspect of it, you may want to take the time to take a look at it. And I don't know if that's something that you would email to them, Dawn?
Yeah, I was going to offer, it's a fairly long recording. I did record it. It was on our Zoom account, and I have the recording of it. And I can share that. I'll just have to do it over new forma because it's a fairly large file. Should I send it through Walter and Chad for you guys to somehow
You Dropbox it?
Yeah, whatever's easier. I will also share the actual PDF, the low resolution PDF of the presentation. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Leisha, because I was going to offer to send the low res, because the high res is pretty big presentation. It's just a PDF. And
Totally
then,
makes sense. Yeah. I just,
then the
don't
actual-
feel obliged because it is long and you won't need it in order to make decisions about the design. But if that part of the process interests you, I really would encourage you to see it. It was very exciting.
yes, and very, very proud adults on the call that these young ladies are, so creative and invested and proud of the work that Blanche did, but also excited about sort of the research and the history. And I know I was excited for them. So
And
it's
their
such a great experience.
confidence. They were right in there with the designers the whole time
Yeah,
and
it's great.
didn't hold back. It was fantastic. Just a
Yeah.
little pick me up if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Yep. And I'll figure out how to get that over to you. And I don't know how you want to share it, whether you put it on a website or put it on a Dropbox for folks to take a look at. I'll leave that to you guys, but I will deliver it to you, both the video and the presentation.
Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it.
You are welcome.
And this is Jamie. I just want to say thank you as well to Dawn and everybody that got them involved when they presented to us. What a treat that was. And then to take it to this next step, this is the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's not only these students affected, but then all the students that get to learn about the students that graduated, from OA, that participated, contributed to this beautiful layout that they're going to have available to them. So outstanding, great work.
Thank you. I'm so thankful that they're willing to participate because, they're just giving of their time and their resources, and it's phenomenal how invested they've become. I'm excited for it.
So Chad or Dan, anything else to add on what that number would allow, or are we ready to kind of ask the committee to consider if they're interested in adding those 4 items or including those 4 items into the budget and finalizing the scope for the 90%? I don't think I have anything else.
Nothing to add on my end, Walter. Happy to field any questions if anybody has them.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything to add because I think that that number is kind of a wag at it because there's a lot of little parts here. And there's printed graphics, there's applied graphics, there's little doors that open, there's all different kinds of things. So we just kind of took let's throw a budget guess at this, at what this might be. So
Right.
I think we're probably not way off, but it's really
Definitely.
just, there's a lot of little things going on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I just want to put out there, if anyone has any thoughts or ideas or responses to any of it, this is, it's for the students, but it's really for the town of Easton. So meaning the experiences for these students, to help future students of Easton. But if anyone has any sort of strong feelings about anything, feel free to share them. We are open to suggestions. No decisions have been made except that there will be this experience for the students. So please share if you have any thoughts.
Can we see the Excel sheet again?
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry I didn't understand this the first time you said it, but is this figure with the expectation that 2B is the option that will be done in terms of the parking lot?
No, it would be the 2A and 2B. It would be both. Let me jump
Both
to the
of them.
slides.
So this includes
Full
both
scope.
of those.
Yep, it would be this in the orange and then this in the green as well.
Which results in a few more spaces than now.
And a safer entryway
And
exit.
safer
Yeah.
and it looks like a much more appropriate handicap entrance parking. Is that handicap parking in the green in front? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if we say yes to this, then Traverse has to go back and actually design this new plaza entrance area.
But it's
Because
likely
this
that
is
would
more
be,
like we've just blocked out the space and said, we're gonna do it all. Then we put a budget in to do it all. And I think they need to look at this and really decide what this is, what this all is gonna look like. Because now we're redesigning the entire middle school entrance.
Because the base bid does not include the safer entrance up at Columbus.
The base bid, I don't know, do you have that alternate one? Yeah, thing. So we did talk about potentially putting this little alternate 1 piece, which is the kind of I'd say the poor man's fix at the top there. If we didn't have the budget, we would have really suggested that we try to do this to kind of smooth out that end of Columbus Ave and make this entrance safer and basically get that kind of so really it's that curve right there at that point where the end Columbus Ave kind of abruptly ends and then it curves right into the parking lot where there needs to be more space. And this was developed as kind of the
Safety.
less expensive, let's address it option. But I don't think we're there. I
This
think
actually sets the middle
like, let's do
back.
everything.
That one actually sets the middle school back because you're losing almost 50 spaces.
Yes.
Right. All it
Yes,
does
that's
is create
that
a
is the
safer
negative.
entry. Right.
Just creates it creates a good entry, but it does not help you with parking at all.
Right. So,
But it's not really on the table because I think your budget situation is such that you should consider doing all of it and just add the couple of spots and gain a few spots and reorganize it all.
So they're 2A and 2B. Each of those is a line item in the spreadsheet, correct?
that is correct.
Okay.
And
That's correct.
they are both checked as to be included or recommended right now. Yep.
Yeah.
And so if we do 2A and 2B, okay, then never mind. I just answered my own question. We're not recommending that we do 1. 1 goes off. We don't
Right.
accept it. And we
No.
do accept 2A and 2B. We accept
Right.
those 4. Okay, got it. So are there any other questions or comments on this from the committee? And if not, I'm going to make a motion, but I want to give people, a minute or two if they have any other questions about these.
Is this including the ceramic in the single-use bathrooms, or is that a conversation for another day?
It is not right
Um,
now, but
We could couldn't we floor amend it right now and just throw it in there?
yeah,
Yeah,
Chad.
just,
Walter, I did on the SharePoint file.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
just-
you're working off your desktop, probably.
I am working off my desktop. I'll reopen it quickly.
What was the
Okay, sure.
amount? Do we remember? Do you know what the amount was? Is that what you're getting right now, Walter?
We did. So I think Dan grabbed
Yep.
the number, and I think Chad.
yeah,
is
either way,
gonna say
50 grand, I think is
$50,000 would carry
safe
it.
number for that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll pull it open right now so everyone can see. Sorry. Try now.
So I don't want to assume for myself or for people who might watch this and wonder why we're making these kinds of decisions. When you say it improves the durability, are you talking about the difference between ceramic tile and drywall
Yes.
in the bathrooms for the young kids? So, any of us with kids can picture someone hurdling a toy or something at a drywall, puts a hole in it, ceramic is more durable. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Doesn't
And
need to be
is that the
painted
same
over
thing?
time. If it gets wet, it doesn't get damaged.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. So that's where it would land.
We'd still be 8, the total. So what's the total of what you're asking us to accept this evening if we include the ceramic? Sorry, I can't see the spreadsheet. My computer screen is.
No problem. It's $923,535.
And that assumes that we need the full septic
Yeah.
leaching field there, which we may not even.
Yeah. We may not need that either.
And so what we haven't in terms of these bids, or in terms of this estimate, what we haven't, does the 842,000, am I reading that right? That we're under, does that just roll over into contingency? Where does that delta go?
That delta is your safety for your bid.
Okay,
And it does not roll over into anything. Once the bid comes in, the bid would be finalized, pending any acceptance of alternates.
okay, thank you.
That was one of the reasons why we were looking for things to offer, because we want to try to get you closer to your budget if we can. If there was anything that we left on the table that we took out because we thought we needed to save money or we thought we were going to be too close, now's the time to to try to put those things back in, or anything that anybody on this committee feels that needs to be in this project or should be considered, now would be the time to
Walter,
make that suggestion.
Yep, Connor?
just to be clear, if in the event anyone misheard that, the 842,000 excess here, you said that's kind of hedging for your bidding. There is actually much larger project contingency built in, right?
Exactly. That is pure bid.
This is
Right, but so the actual contingency is not 842,000. It's a significantly larger cushion.
that's correct.
Right. Yeah, what I was asking is if this rolled and got included in the contingency, and what was clarified was no, it doesn't. It just kind of is separate.
Chad, you want to clarify that?
Yeah, got it.
Yep, so once we get bids in, we'll have to complete something called the PFA bid amendment with the MSBA. And it could be 842, it could be some other number, but they will ask us when the bids come in, what we want to do, if there's a buyout savings, whether the town wants to take their share and put it into the contingency account. So that's a question that's coming a little bit down the road.
Okay.
Strict interpretation of MSBA policy says that they will share in any bid savings. Real world application as recent as the past month or so, they actually did not take any of the savings, provided it was ineligible scope anyway, so it was over the $333 per square foot cost cap. So the regulations are written in a way that protects and covers the MSBA, that if they were ever in a situation where they needed to take savings, they could, but most oftentimes we find they do not, and they hand it back to the district.
So that will be it doesn't automatically happen, Jane, but that is a question that comes down the road.
Any other questions? So
This is Jamie. Just a quick question about the exterior that we landed on and window considerations. I know those are two pricey, big price tags, but anything within this that we would change today, or is those items are too costly?
We took a look at that. The exterior surfaces for the building were too costly to change what was the proposal. It was I think it was over $2.1 million. And the other item was, I believe, windows, which I believe would almost not allow Perkins Eastman to finish their design if we were to change that system at this point. But Dan and Chad, I'll let you guys kind of clarify on that. That was a big number as well for the windows.
Yep, that was the concern on my end, is just changing systems this late in design, being well into 90% and trying to get over that 100% threshold. My gut instinct is that that's a lot for Perkins to absorb in a short amount of time, and it opens us up to potential for errors and omissions just because of the fast nature. But Dan, I'll let you add to that and chime in what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to change the, right now we've optimized insulation. Our windows are kind of what we want. We're triple glazing the windows as it is. One thing I could do is triple glaze the storefront and curtain wall.
So that was
That's
actually,
something we don't have, but that was something that was there was a cost there, but it was a minimal energy savings. But based on where we're at, it might be worth doing. And that's not a big deal for us to change the glazing to triple.
Is that a number available to us tonight, or you would need some time?
For the dollars for it?
Yeah.
we have it from a previous.
We have it from
Dan.
a previous estimate. Yeah, we do.
And what is that for, Dan? Where?
We have the exterior has 3 different kinds of assemblies. It basically has that aluminum look, kind of square frame stuff, which is storefront and curtain wall both look like that. And then it has aluminum windows. And the windows are all in the classrooms. The storefronts and curtain walls are the larger expanses. Right now, we're triple glazed on all the windows, but we could consider triple glazing the storefronts and curtain walls, which was something we had previously and that we took out.
There it is, right there.
Because the energy savings balance wasn't dramatic enough for us to, and we were on budget. We didn't want to overspend to save a little bit of points on energy. But now that we're in a position that's different.
I believe this was actually
worth it.
I believe, Dan, this was actually not even a value management discussion item. This was more of a, we don't need this based on our mechanical systems.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. It
So
was,
this was not,
it was
this
a
was
little
not
bit.
cut. Yeah, this
It
was
was-
not
yeah.
cut because we couldn't afford it. This was cut because it wasn't
We
a
didn't,
necessary.
it was an incremental amount. Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tremendous amount.
On top of that, I have a feeling that we would need to have the estimators put a new number on that, based on how the estimates have come in at this round. I don't know how you, Dan, or
That's ballpark. So I mean, we're looking at $200,000. The
Mhm.
downside there is the cost benefit analysis when we did it back on.
Yeah, the long-term, yeah,
14.
the LCCA on that.
Right, it doesn't pay back, so we can put it back in, or we can keep that 200 grand as a bid contingency. So it's, I guess
More
that's
cushion. Yep.
It doesn't sound like it's something that you're recommending.
the numbers didn't play out for it.
I'm not feeling super warm and fuzzy about it now.
Mhm.
Is this a question of aesthetics or
No, it's
that doesn't have to do
energy.
with safety or
energy.
anything, right? Energy.
No, it's an energy savings, but again,
already have it at all
it was
the-
incremental. It wasn't enough for us to really be too concerned about.
right.
So I'll leave it at this. I would lean on someone like David Twombly. I live in a 250-year-old house and I'm glazing windows every year. So I'm not the guy you want to talk to about this.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you don't get a return on investment, so I would stick with what you have.
I think that the number, the ROI is pretty far out. It was like 40 to 50 years.
And
That's a
fair.
long time for glass.
That's fair.
So, having said all that, any other comments or questions? And if not, I am going to make a motion. So I'm going to move that the school planning committee accept now the 5 items that have been proposed to add to this value management exercise. The total of those items comes to a cost of $923,000, $923,535. Is that what I wrote down?
Yes.
Yep.
And that we add those in and as part of our 90% submission for the MSBA.
Wiseman, second.
Sorry, let me go through my list. Cabral,
Cabral, yes.
Carlson,
Carlson, yes.
Fulgenetti,
Fulgenetti, yes.
Helen. Oh, sorry. O'Neill,
O'Neill, yes.
Reed,
Reed, yes.
Soberai,
Sobrai, yes.
Stebbins,
Stebbins, yes.
Weintraub,
Weintraub, yes.
Wiseman,
Wiseman, yes.
Martin, yes. So that's that.
That's great. Thank you, everyone.
Moving on.
Yep. So we will jump to the project schedule update. So as we discussed, we've been working on the last meeting. We've been working on the request for qualifications for subcontractors, filed subbid contractors and general contractors. Just gonna pop open my Teams 1 second for some additional information. Central Register, local paper, and combis were all completed. The RFQ went live on Project Dog on 10/21. Responses are due on the 11th of November, and PMA and the pre-qualification committee that's been assembled will be reviewing them from 11/11 to 11/25, and notification to pre-qualified firms will go out on 11/25. Sorry. As of right now, 131 people have picked up the documents. That's not all filed subbids and general contractors. Some of those are different people looking for information on different jobs, construction journal, business journal, stuff like that. But approximately 8 of those are what we would consider serious contenders for general contractors, which is a lot. Typical project of this size receives 80 submissions, and I think we're trending on the higher side of that right now. So we are in what I think PMA and the estimators would call a competitive bid market at this point in time. And I believe that the estimates reflect that information as well.
If it's anything like the market for architecture, it's very competitive.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
Seen a good amount of interest from traditionally private sector firms, which is always good to see more competition. And I mean, they're highly qualified. They usually just pass on public projects, and we're familiar with them, just not typically on our public sector stuff. So it's good. It speaks to a competitive environment out there.
Absolutely. So just a quick schedule summary. We're going to be working through the design, 100% design until December, almost Christmas. The bid process, the pre-qualification for the bid process is ongoing. The bid is going to be from around Christmas through the beginning of middle of February, with breaking ground in March and working to October for the new building, and then fields and demo and abatement to follow after that. Submission for the 90% is going to go to the MSBA next week. PMA has been working with Perkins Eastman compiling that submission. The information that we got here tonight is going to help us finalize that. So we're in a great spot for submission next Friday. And then just a quick budget update. Bill to date is $4.265 million, and estimated MSB reimbursement is $2.349 million. I know PMA just reached out to get the next ProPay submission submitted. So we're handling that and just about up to date. Maybe the last month of invoices need to go to the MSBA for reimbursement, but no surprises on reimbursement to date. I don't believe I have any new business, Chad or Dan or Dawn or Sarah. Do you guys have anything?
And I just want to confirm that that one vote that we took to authorize all of those and the submission, it's okay to do that as one vote, right? You didn't need two separate votes for that. Okay, just I said it so that we were submitting as well, but I wanted to make sure.
Yep, we got that.
Okay. Just making sure.
Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions from anybody? Okay, keep going.
No problem. I think it's time to schedule the next meeting. I didn't have a chance to pull out our schedule, but I know, like I said, notification to pre-qualified firms is going to be right around Thanksgiving. Dan and Dawn and Sarah, do we feel we'll need another meeting prior to that, prior to Thanksgiving, or will we likely be into December at that point in time?
I don't think we have any business that we need to. I mean, I guess maybe we should throw a holder in for an update if we need that something happens between now and then, but I don't think that we would need it.
I don't
might be wise to have something.
Early December may work even for that in case something pops up.
That's fine.
Okay.
So are we suggesting a date right now? Do you want to hold a date December, like when you say early December, do you mean the 2nd or the 9th?
I think either of those would work.
Okay, so I'm just going to kind of make a decision here and ask members of the committee to tentatively hold Wednesday, December 2nd for a possible meeting, and that as we get closer to that date, we will follow up to confirm.
Absolutely. And there may not be any need to have that meeting. So that'll be, we'll reach out maybe the week before Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving.
Great. Anything else this evening?
I don't believe PMA has anything. I think, Caroline, do you have something? Sorry.
I just want to say that I'm actually a pretty reserved, believe it or not, not very excitable person, but I am really getting excited about this. You guys are just phenomenal, and I'm just so happy that this is happening for our little ones. That's all I have.
Hi, this is Florence. I just have a question about who I should address my questions about this notification of abutters under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. Should I address it to the Conservation Committee members mentioned in the email?
Yes.
In the letter?
Yeah, that Florence, that is that notification is only about the stormwater detention basin that's in front of the Richard Olmsted School.
I see. I see.
That's what that's all about. That's
Okay.
actually a wetland.
Yes, I
So
knew that part.
yes, we have to do an NOI for that, for there's a little classroom being built over there, an outdoor classroom being built near it. It's in the buffer zone, which they had originally told us is okay. But just in order to make sure we dot all of our, go through and make sure we have all of our T's crossed and all of our I's dotted, that we're going to go and do a notice of intent on that.
Thank you.
So yes, you would contact them.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
And I'll have a happy Thanksgiving.
You
However
as
it may
well.
be. However it may be.
Thank you for hanging in with us, Florence. We do appreciate you still attending these meetings very much. It's great to have your input.
Thank you, Leisha, and congratulations on the work that you and your team have done to get the kids back to school in some fashion.
Thank you.
Okay, so nothing else. If possible, can I
Question,
have
Jane?
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to, I'm one of the reviewers for the pre-qual packages, and I just want to know how they're going to reach out to us on that.
It'll be via email, and we'll be able to work in the documents off of PMA's files. It'll be a very, very simple process. PMA will do the reference checks, and it'll just be a scoring template that gets sent out with an Excel sheet and the file tabs that of the trades that you guys will be working on. Right,
Okay.
Chad?
Yep, and we'll upload all the applications to a folder and send a SharePoint link. So should be nice and easy. We'll give you a good
No
instruction.
no paperwork.
Done it before. Thank you.
No problem. You're muted, Jane.
I'm trying to run two meetings at the same time. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Cabral.
Second, Stebbins.
Cabral,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Soberai,
Yes.
Stebbins,
Yes.
Weintraub,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Martin. I'm a yes. It was wonderful to see you guys all again tonight. And hopefully, or maybe we will see you in December. And Leisha, I'll follow up with you about what we might want to be thinking about. Thanks.
Leisha,
Yes,
Leisha,
Deb.
check your email. I sent you something earlier today, and I just sent that presentation that I promised via new forma. So I just don't want it to get lost.
Alrighty.
I know the one I sent this morning, I got a auto kickback basically saying,
Yep.
I got it done.
okay, you got the new forma. Okay, I put Chad and Walter on it. So I just didn't want any.
I'm not opening it yet, but I
Oh,
did
that's
it
fine.
here. Okay.
Perfect. Just want to
Thank
make
you so
sure.
much.
Yeah, no problem. Bye, guys. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone, take care.
Bye-bye.